Welcome to GoCast, a podcast designed to inspire and equip pastors and leaders to lead soul-winning churches. We have a mission to go and make disciples. This is GoCast.
Hey everyone, welcome to GoCast. I'm your host, Kelly Stickle, joined with my co-host, Tim Tribble. We have some very exciting news for you. We are actually in the process of rebranding and kind of restructuring the whole thing. So, where do we begin, Tim?
Oh,
Let's go.
Goodness. So
we've got lots going on.
So as you know, back in GoCast, we were meeting with pastors and leaders, and we were basically like, how do we help you to reach your unchurched people in your community? Yeah. And this is along the same lines of that. Back in October, we launched as Parallel Church, and our motto is come alongside.
Yeah. So we thought, hey, with GoCast, we wanted to rebrand and really feel like that it's not just, we want to continue to go, but it's not just about going alone, encouraging, but we want to come alongside and go together. And so we want to rebrand GoCast to Parallel Leaders Podcast. And the whole idea is we want to come alongside you, your ministries. We want to run with you, not just encourage you to run on your own or run behind us, but we want to run alongside you, and we want to run alongside the guests that we have on, and kind of provide interviews and learn how to run with them and what their expertise is. And we want to be curators of information and not just say, hey, we're producing content, but we want to point you and resource you with content and curate as much information as we possibly can to help the church grow, the church in North America grow, the church in Canada grow, the church around the world to grow, and go, man, what if we kind of partner together and ran with, no matter the size of the ministry, no matter the impact or the how famous the ministry is, doesn't matter. We just want to run alongside.
I want to stop you right there because you mentioned something really particular about being curators of information. Can you just draw us in a little bit of why that's important in this season?
I think there's so much information out there. There's so many podcasts out there. And so everyone trying to find their own lane and do all this kind of stuff. And I see a lot of information and people doing their own thing and going, man, this works with that. And I think throughout COVID, it's caused us to evaluate and reevaluate everything. I think everything is a church, everything is ministry. And when I thought, man, there's so many great relationships that we have around the world, all these different organizations that are doing great work. But man, if this one could partner with this one and this one could, like, how could we do this? And I'm going, I don't want to create content on my own where I'm going, man, this content's already been created. I don't need a different voice. I just need to help people say, this information really helped me, and I think it would help you. How do we share that? And kind of share all that and run together. That's why we named our church Parallels. Like, hey, we don't want to run alone. We want to run with other ministries. We want to come alongside.
Yeah, so good.
And we've really been talking about, Jesus said this, and you burned out and tired of religion. He said in Matthew 6, right? But then he says, come along with me, walk with me, learn the unforced rhythms of grace. And I was like, if Jesus can invite us to walk with him, I think we can do the same. So
now I could be wrong about this, but in previous podcasts, you talked about a book that you were reading called Marching Off the Map by Tim Elmer. And in there talks specifically about Gen Z and reaching them in this age and being effective with our information and being curators of information. So how in Parallel Leaders Podcast are we going to serve our listeners?
Yeah, so Elmer's a great book. I highly encourage you to get that one if you haven't read it. But he talks about how parents, as parents and educators, we've marched off the map where we're in unknown territory. Whereas parents, our kids have access to more information than we can possibly provide them. And so they don't, like, how do you parent a child when they're not coming to you for information? They can Google it. They can, how do you do that? And he says the next generation of leaders is going to be leaders that are curators of information, not just, kids going to their parents and saying, hey, how do I do this? And going and saying, no, we're going to become not providers of information, but curators of information. So that was a big point and a big vision point, saying, we want to reach every generation. And I think this is the time for the church to be unified like never before and to run with like never before. And we don't want to carve out our own lane. We want to run alongside with anybody and everybody and saying, hey, you need to meet you. And so what we're excited about with Parallel Leaders Podcast is what we're going to call it. And parallelleaders.com is where you can find us already. And we're starting to put all this together already. But our vision, really, there's three things that we want to do. Is we want to curate relationships. And we want to build relationships, and we want to, regardless of denominational backgrounds, and I think denominations are, I think going away, and we're seeing more and more networks come up, but saying, how can we network more, and how do we curate relationships and introduce you to others that might help you, and not saying you just have to be in relationship with us, but with each other. So that's going to be our vision. We want to curate relationships. We want to curate resources and provide resources, not just our own resources. We'll provide some of that if we have anything we think is going to be of big benefit. But we really want to connect you with resources from all the experts and saying, hey, here's one place where you can find whatever you're looking for that we think would be helpful in your church, your ministry, your business, whatever it might be. Then we also want to provide mentorship. So relationships, resources, and mentoring in coaching in one way, and saying, how do we not just coach you, but how do we connect you with other coaches who could be experts in this area that might do a better job of that. So all of that being said, those three things, relationship, resources, and coaching. And so the podcast, the format of the podcast is going to look just a little bit different. We're going to continue with what you've enjoyed in GoCast with doing interviews, but we're going to do those interviews once a month. And we're going to have experts again. We're going to take a topic. We're going to have experts that are, experts in that topic, and we'll interview them and do that same type of thing. But then throughout the month, we want to do once a month teaching, staff teaching, leadership teaching, provide kind of a teaching podcast where you can get your notepad out and take notes. We also want to do a live mentoring podcast where we have pastors and leaders that can submit questions, and you can send your questions to our website and connect with us and saying, hey, I've got a question. And if we'd like to do kind of a live mentoring thing. And what I think is beneficial about doing a podcast like that is that it's not just theory now. It's actual real situations that I think pulls out more wisdom or different wisdom rather than a prepared teaching or a theory. This is unscripted, real situations that I guarantee you others have situations that are similar. So I think that's going to be a very exciting podcast once a month. And then we want to do once a month. We want to do a Zoom coaching session where we can all get together in relationship and build relationship. Provide some resources, provide some coaching, and do that once a month on a Zoom where we can actually see each other's faces and connect in that way. And so Parallel Leaders Podcast is going to look like a monthly interview, monthly teaching, a monthly mentorship type style coaching podcast, and then a Zoom coaching thing. And
Let me tell you the things that I absolutely love about this is the fact that in the last few months, you've been leading us through books of resilient faith and The City Without a Church and these kinds of books that emphasize the kingdom. And I think these types of resources and these types of podcasts completely fall in line with that, is that we're not trying to build a kingdom, we're not trying to build a platform, but we are using the resources and being a conduit of information for the listeners.
Yeah, and we want to, in the relationship side, and saying we're not the only ones that can curate information.
Totally,
What book has most impacted you in your church, and what resources really helped you? And we can continue these conversations through Zoom, through coaching sessions, and then we just want to kind of pile all that stuff and just help each other. Can you imagine? Wow. Just help each other. So, man, excited about this. We're going to be launching this new podcast format and Parallel Leaders. The spring of 2022, this spring, we're going to be launching it, and we're excited about that. So stay tuned. Those of you who are subscribers, we're going to be reaching out to you and getting information to you as well on some of that. And what we're going to be switching over from GoCast and to Parallel Leaders, and it'll just be automatic for you, so you don't have to do that. But if you want more information about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what Parallel Leaders is all about, go to parallelleaders.com, or you can search for Parallel Leaders on all social platforms.
Yep, so good. So good.
Exciting. Stay tuned.